little bit of a different setting. I'm here visiting DMAC for the weekend. We're here to bring you another episode of Double Coverage. For all of you guys that don't know, our podcast, Devin and myself, all you have to do, go on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all of those great channels. Subscribe to Double Coverage with the McCourty Twins. And as always, you can find us on social media at McCourty Twins, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Well, I guess I could say welcome to you, but it's really
I mean, it's cool. He got to come hang out. We had a fun day today. Well, really the whole weekend. Yesterday was a pool day for the kids. Today we had a good day. We had a little memorial for baby Mia. We sent balloons up in the air. It was a good time. Some family came over. So now we're kind of winding down the night with these guys, man.
Yeah, the kids have been off the wall the entire time. It's kind of been it's been crazy for sure. So definitely some good time. It's the first time I've had a chance really through the quarantine to see Dev. So it's been fun. And for you guys, if you're listening, YouTube, Facebook, just know, go get that Fan Cred app. Once you get the app, it's in your app store. Once you get the app, you sign up. And then if you want to come on and be able to ask me and Dev a question, you'll see on air, that's Double Coverage with me and Dev, and then a little green button, the fan line, to get in line, get backstage, and get a chance to have your face side by side with us, and you get a chance to ask a question, man. New week, some of the same things going on.
Same thing. We're kind of like picking up where we left off. I think, last week I felt like we were just getting in and embracing everything. But, as the week has gone on, we've been talking on a lot of different things. Obviously, the Drew Brees comments came up, and we commented on that. So I guess we should just start right there. And, I think for both of us, we kind of felt like, not that we have a huge issue with Drew Brees. I mean, I don't know him as a person. I've only heard great things about him. But, what he said and what it represented, I thought it gave people an opportunity to say, I agree with Drew Brees. He's a great guy. I'm out of it. It got people I think it gave them a chance to wash their hands of the racism talk, the uncomfortable. It let them back out the back door and just get going. So that was my real disappointment in that statement. And a lot has transpired through since then. Trump coming at Drew Brees, I guess you could say, saying he should have stuck to what he said, and Drew Brees sending a strong message back. And I think that's what the league is about. It's about guys taking stands and doing what they believe in is right. And I think you've seen that across the league. You've seen protests in Denver with Justin Simmons and Von Miller. You've seen Russell Westbrook, DeRozan. You've seen players everywhere just be out there. Malcolm Jenkins in Philadelphia. So it's been an intense week, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you just said, it's not about any individual. It's just about trying to change the thought process of our country to get to a place where everybody's happy and everybody's equal. And like he said, I don't need to repeat all of those things, but I agree. And I think we need to continue to progress and move the conversation forward. And I see we got Mike is in Canada. Marcus, is his birthday weekend. So you guys got some good stuff coming up. And already we got somebody on the fan line. I got to be able to see the fan line. I know this is different for you, but I'm the one who handles the fan line. You can't go
I'm sorry.
We got Ben from Columbus coming up first on the fan line. This guy, he's messing me up. I got to get used to having somebody right next to me.
My side's a little different usually.
Yeah, but Ben's coming up next from Columbus. What's up, Ben? How you doing, man?
Hey, guys. I was just wondering, what are you guys doing, to stay involved with, there's protesting. There's so many things that you guys can do. How are you guys, planning on staying involved now and going forward?
I know one of the biggest things for us is just being a part of the Players Coalition. And, I think one of the best things is because of everything that's happened, it's really opened a conversation to get more of our teammates involved and talk to them. And we recently have put out, a little letter that we're going to come out with probably tomorrow that involves the Players Coalition. So that'll always be our thing. I think with the different protests and depending on where we're at and what area we're in, being out there to help out and do things like that. But one of the main things we continue to talk about is being part of that change. And we've done a lot of things in legislation so far with policy. And I think that's something we want to continue to do to bring the necessary changes to help our people and communities with Black and brown people. So we're going to continue to do that through the Players Coalition. And I'm sure in the next weeks and months coming up, you'll see the Players Coalition heavily involved in a lot of things in this country.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, whether it's signing petitions, phone calls, donating money, all of those things are some things that we're trying to do to make sure we're involved and we're doing things as well. So making sure, convincing everybody to go out and vote and get elected officials in office that are going to help progress what we all believe in. So those are some of the things that we're doing, and we'll try to bring some guys on later on. We got 2 guys coming on, Jurrell Casey and Ben Watson, 2 guys who are also involved in doing things as well.
It means a lot that you guys are doing that, though. You guys have such a great just a big influence, and you guys can do so much, and I just appreciate you guys doing that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that for sure. Good to see you, man.
My man Lex, what's up, Lex? Lex from Nyack in the building. We got a lot of people saying that daughter. Matt Gould said his daughter says hi. See my man Mike Thurman's in the chat too. We have a good day today, man. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. Like Jay said, we got Casey here. We got Ben Watson. If you're in the Boston area, Ben Watson actually has something coming up next week that'll allow people to get involved. And I always look to guys like Ben because he always has great perspective on things. It's not just a rash reaction to things. He always thinks things through, and he always comes with love. So can't wait to have Ben on here and talk about the different things that he's doing in the community and what he's about.
Yeah, like you said, a man of faith and somebody that is so active and off the field means just as much as what he's done on the field throughout his entire career. So I think that's for us guys, even older guys, when you're in a locker room, you see a guy like Ben Watson, you say to yourself, hey, that right there, that's what I'm striving to be. So those are the type of guys that you want to be like.
Yeah, and I also want to take a moment just to talk about, neither one of us knew Rashay Caldwell, but just prayers up to his family and his loved ones of the news of him getting killed, I think over the last, 24 hours. So just taking the time and send prayers his way, to his family's way. So, if you've seen that and you heard the news, just pray for that family and him as well. Not an ideal situation. Seems like it was very, very silly over materialistic things. So, you just want to take time and, really feel for his family and what they're going through. Definitely a tough time, especially with everything else going on in our country right now. So tough news to hear, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Very just sad just because of the way, it's just very senseless what it appears to be. So definitely prayers and condolences to his family. We got Zach and Westwood coming up next on the fan line. And as you guys can see, I know you see me scooting over closer to Dev. I saw when we got the fan line going on, I was a little cut out, so we can't have that. We want to keep me in the picture as much as possible.
Oh, greetings from Mexico. Okay.
There we go. Zach, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? How you doing? I'm doing good.
Good.
So I'm coming in this week at my brother's senior night.
Nice.
Okay, congrats, brother. Congrats.
So my question is, what is something that us kids can do to put an end to racial injustice?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say to you, I would challenge you to have those conversations with your friends, and then on top of that, just how you are, what you believe in, and the way you treat those around you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about our country. You guys, as kids, when you're born, you just see what's in front of you. You don't care what your friend looks like, what color they are. You're just like, oh, I think he's a cool kid or she's a cool girl. So also what I would challenge you is just to make sure, hey, when I'm out on the playground or I'm at school, I'm making sure that I'm treating everybody equal and I'm not allowing any negative thoughts that may come up from whether anybody, parents, the TV, teachers. I'm just going to go off of how people treat me and my interactions with them.
Yeah, and I would say just prepare to be leaders. I think for every kid who's experienced what's going on in our country, just know that you guys are the future. You're the leaders that people will be looking to. So, don't take that as pressure, but also take that as a great opportunity of what you have to do and what you get to do for our country. So I'm excited for all of the young people out there, whether it's like your brother graduating and moving on and being a leader a little before you. But you guys have a chance to lead the way into a new way of life after the pandemic, after all of the racial injustice that we've seen in our country. You guys have a chance to kind of pioneer and lead a new life someday for your kids. I know that's far off for you, Zach, but someday for your kids in the future, man.
Definitely appreciate it. Man.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. That was a really good question, man.
Yeah, man. Zach's always on top of it.
Yeah, man. Locked in. Appreciate you, Nadine. We can't have Dev taking up Oh, the whole screen, exactly. We know it's his house, but you gotta be partial to your guests, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to show love. I didn't know. I looked on my Facebook feed and I saw it.
Yeah, my mom was the first one that texted us like, "Hey, you got to move over. Half your body's out the screen." So she doesn't play. She's
always got to look out for him. So
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, definitely. Sean on Facebook, schools don't have modified sports anymore. We grew up on that. Maybe we create some new ones for kids, and I think that'll be awesome. I think whether it's sports, after school activities, hobbies, all of those things are awesome for our kids. And I think with that same mindset, we can also throw in different things to educate our kids on things that have happened in our country to prepare them and get them ready for what's happening, what's going on. And I think that allows us to move forward the right way. So I'm all for after school activities.
Definitely. And we got Ben in Connecticut coming up next. But shout out, we had Andre from Mexico. All the way in.
That's what I said. I said, shout out Mexico. You ain't showing me no love.
But you didn't say Andre though. You gotta specify. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
You gotta let it be known. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hanging out, man.
Yeah. Dev, I didn't get to come on last week, but I just want to send my condolences to you and your wife for what you posted. Very tough news, man.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the prayers.
Yeah. And also, obviously, Rashae Caldwell was another guy that I really liked playing. Very underrated player, and it was tough to see as well today. So some tough times during our world, but we're trying to obviously, do what we can to, get through it.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So I got a couple questions. Obviously, through the NFL Coalition, like you guys said, this week the NFL released a thing with Patrick Mahomes, Jarvis Landry, a bunch of guys. What were you guys' thoughts overall on that video? Just kind of from your stance on it.
Yeah, I thought the video was awesome.
But I would say I think the players released that.
Yeah, they said my wife was reading an article to me. Michael Thomas, they said it was his idea, and he got together with some guys and figured out a way to get it all put together. And I thought it was a really good video. Not only was it some of the best players in our league, but they were just challenging the league and the rest of the guys of just like, hey, let's get out and let's voice our opinion. We keep kind of saying it behind closed doors, but let's get out there and let's end racism and let's talk about it and let's try to really do something about it. So I thought it was cool to see. I think anytime players use their platform to express and talk about things that they believe in, I think it can become something huge and can create big change. So for those guys, kudos. I enjoyed it, seeing it Thursday night come out. And then obviously our guy Gilly Locke was in it, and we know he's a guy who does things in the community, and he's that type of guy that does stuff and you'll never know about it. Just naturally, he's a quiet person, so he's not going to blast it all out. So seeing him in there, I know they had to turn his volume way up so that he can be heard making his statements, but it was a cool video from those guys.
Yeah, very powerful, very powerful.
And one more question. Has Bill talked to you with you guys much about in terms of what the situation we're going through right now? I saw some reports about it, but in terms of your guys' team, I know there's obviously the African American population on the team's pretty wide. So have you guys talked with each other and kind of talked about this whole situation?
Yeah, I think we're like every other team. We've had a bunch of good conversations over the last week that I think have been very healthy for our team. And honestly, I think it's been very healthy for individuals to be able to express themselves, for people to see other people's point of view. So, I've thoroughly enjoyed it that we've gotten, even though we're not together, which usually when things like this happens, it's just so easy for us because we're in the cafeterias, we're in the locker rooms, we're talking about these things because we are pretty close as guys, and we talk about a lot of family things and things like that. So it was good just even, with us being apart, to be able to jump on our virtual meetings and just to have good conversations. So I think I will go out on a limb and say every team who's had virtual meetings, that's what they've done this past week, having time to really talk and get to know each other better.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I appreciate that, Ben.
Who said this? Aline said, who is your mom's favorite?
I am. I was born first, is by far.
No,
the only thing he had was he gave her grandkids before me, but I caught up, so we're good now.
we'll just let him answer that one.
Hey man, shout out Alejandro from Chile, calling in from Chile, tuning in from Chile. That's big time, man.
Super big time. Super big time. What else we got? Gilly got compared to Deion Sanders. He's been shutting it down. Very similar shutdown corner. Hasn't been allowing many completions. So definitely appreciate. And for you guys also, you want to check out me and Dev Thursday. It was Thursday or was that Wednesday? Thursday. Did a cool podcast with M. Quentin Williams, just talking about race. He's a former FBI agent, former federal prosecutor. Also worked as an executive in the NFL and NBA. So a wealth of knowledge, a lifetime of experiences. We just, for about an hour, sat down and just talked to him about some of his experiences, how he views law enforcement and community. So a little bit of everything. So for you guys on YouTube, anything like that, you can go out. Well, yeah, you can go check that out. It was a good podcast in a good way, just to continue the conversation and keep talking about it. We got next Isaac coming up from Boston on the fan line. We encourage you guys. Last week it was mostly me and Devin, our guests, talking. So we encourage you guys to come on, ask your questions, make your comments, and have more of a dialogue. Just see what's up, man.
Yo, what's up, man?
How you doing?
It's good to see you guys. How are you?
Hold on, we gotta fix that. We said Isaac. We got Ivan from Boston.
That's right. You got Ivan.
I got you, man. I won't let you live like that.
It's good to see you guys, man. I just wanted to come on and say, obviously, thank you for what you're doing. Condolences to you and your family. And this weekend, me and a couple of friends are putting together a march in Waltham. I'll just hope you guys can shout it out and maybe get some people to come down and walk with us for the Black Lives Matter march.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on. Well, go ahead.
Get the details.
Info.
Yeah, tell the people the details.
So it's going to be this Saturday on June 13th at the Waltham High School. We're going to be walking from the Waltham High to Leary Field, and it's starting at 3:00 p.m. to 7. Please dress in all black and come down and support us, guys. We appreciate everything.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And big shout out to you putting the message out, getting everything together. It's been awesome to see all the different protests, the peaceful protests, and people standing up. And I think the best thing we've seen so far with the protests is it's people from all colors, people from everywhere coming together. So thoroughly enjoying that. And really, I'm excited for what you guys are doing. So I know J-Max heading back to Tennessee, but I'm going to try to make it.
Okay, thank you.
To Foxborough this week. So that sounds good, man.
And
hey, there goes the better half.
So on Instagram, you can follow DJ_Kendi. That's KENDY. And I am _Ivinson, IVINSON. And we'll have all the information for you. We appreciate it.
Okay. I'll make sure I post that to my page and stuff too, man.
I appreciate it. I'll send you a quick DM. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Good seeing you.
Bye.
Jerry on here says, how many minutes between you guys? I'm a baby twin by 5 minutes. 27 minutes between us. Dev is the oldest. They had to come get me.
Of course, Dev is the oldest. They could tell that.
They had to come get me. So a little bit different than the typical 5 minutes. I think the longest we've heard of somebody was 34 minutes, and that was the most. Roberta asked on Facebook, what wine are we drinking? We're drinking Jordan. This is probably the best week that I've gotten to drink wine because I'm drinking wine that I didn't have to pay for. So you can't beat that. So
even when a guy's your brother, he will come freeload off of you. So let that be a heads up when you invite your siblings over for the weekend. Make them bring something. I didn't make him bring anything, and now he's using me. And I let his kids eat up all my food all week. I brought kids. That's what I did. Andy is next on the fan line. It's family, man. You don't bring stuff to go see family. Just your presence alone is enough. So not you. Maybe some people, not you though. Andy, what's that? Mama, we made it.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing
What's
good,
up,
Andy?
Good to see you.
Always love seeing a custom jersey in the back.
Yeah, I was like having that one. Hey, I had another question, but I'm gonna start with which vintage of the Jordan are you drinking?
We got a little of the 2015 Alexander Valley.
Yeah, the 2015 is really nice from Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of theirs.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. But I wanted to share with you something that one of the rabbis I follow shared today about the priestly blessing, which you probably are familiar with. The Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may he lift up his face to you and give you peace. And it's the oldest piece of written scripture. And it was found in the valley of Gihon, what we know as Gehenna or hell, because it was a sect of people who sacrificed babies. But it's a message that out of the valley of hell is where the blessings of peace sometimes come from, and that we remember them.
Yeah, true.
So I wanted to just share that with you, and I know that you're both very religious gentlemen, and was just curious your thoughts on what's going on from a religious perspective here this week.
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say we've been we've been fortunate. I think one of the good things about being on a team is that we have group Bible studies, and we always get together and just fellowship. And I think especially when things get really crazy and there's a lot going on. This past week, getting a chance to get together as men, and we talked about just the transition from the Old Testament to the New Testament, the arrival of Jesus Christ. And in the Old Testament, everything was about being Jewish. Everything in Christianity was about you were either the Jewish race or you were Gentile. You were on the outside looking in, and then Jesus comes, and now it's welcome everybody. And we were reading in Galatians where Paul is kind of getting after Peter, like, you sit with the Gentiles every day, but, some of your other brothers come in, now you want to move away and you're being a hypocrite. And I think that's what we see, going on right here today, is the idea of, not accepting everyone, not treating everybody as equal. And that's something that we need to fix. And it's if you're a Christian, it's right in the Bible. You can't hide behind, different things. You can't let the protests come up and the riots and you only talk about peace. I think you have to try to encompass everything that's in there. So we've been able to really stick to that. And, in a little while, we got Ben coming on here, who is always awesome guy to talk and to look at like his social media, because he's always preaching that and talking about that. So we have a lot of guys that hold us accountable and keep us grounded. To me, that really helps out a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say from a faith standpoint, it gives you hope. I think when you look, like you just said, when you look outside or you just look around our country and you see so many things going on and so much evil, your faith brings you hope. It gives you reason to wake up and continue to fight for change and try to create a change for the next generation, especially when you have children. So I think you have to, like Dev always kind of says, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself sometimes to get you through things.
Absolutely. I want to share a thing from the Talmud for you, which is a convert came to Rabbi Hillel and said, "Can you teach me Torah while you stand on one foot?" And he did, and he said, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. Everything else is commentary."
There you go.
Right there.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yep.
And you got in the comments saying they want that jersey in the back, so you better hold tight to it.
Everybody always wants that jersey. I think it's the best one. And with the new jerseys, I don't think you can make it because the women's numbers got larger.
Oh, okay.
So this uses two women's numbers to make the 0 and the 2.
That's a classic right there.
There you go. Appreciate you,
okay,
man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a great day.
You too, man.
And Jessica Dunn said on YouTube, "I never bring anything to my brother's house. He buys me things, baby sister perks." So I'm kind of the baby brother. So
he only wants to be the baby brother when it gets him something. Other than that, when I call him little brother, it's always like, we're twins, we're not little brother. So either live with it or don't live with it. You can't pick and choose.
Lori also says Drew Bledsoe needs to send you some of his wine.
That would be awesome.
Free as me.
The first time we see him in the locker room again, that's what we should
free as me and send 3. Oh, Ben Watson is ready on the fan line, so let's get ready to bring our guy, Brother Watson.
This is special too because Ben's he has a full group at home. He has a small basketball team. For him taking the time to come on, that's awesome, man.
Man, this is what I got to look forward to in my life with the twins, all day for the next 18 years in my house. And then after that, going back and forth, talking about who's older and everything. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. I see them doing that right now.
That's what you signed up for, man. They're going to be fighting over them bottles soon.
They already be smacking each other. I'd be kind of laughing on the low. I kind of like want to see who's going to win sometime.
That's natural, man.
How are you doing with all this quarantine? We know in the Watson household, there's no way to social distance. There's too many of you guys, man. How are you and Kristen holding up there?
Well, in the very beginning, before, everything got relaxed a little bit, we were pushing up against that limit. Like nobody could come to the house. We're already at like 9 people. So I think the limit was 10. And so I was threatening the kids, like, if you start acting up, I'm gonna have to let one of y'all go. So we're doing all right though. We just finished the homeschooling last week, so we officially hit that first week of summer. So Kirsten and I were just talking about a couple minutes ago about what the schedule is going to be like, because it's good for kids to have structure. It's good for the parents to have structure for the kids when it comes to their recreation, exercising themselves spiritually, mentally, and physically. We have to build that in for them, because they won't do it on their own. But also it gives us some sanity. So that's kind of where we are right now.
No, that's awesome, man. Well, we'll jump right into it. We know you're a man led by faith. How have you been, and your thought process with the last week, everything going on? Just let us kind of know how you've been and what's the message you've been trying to spread.
Honestly, brother, I've been struggling, really, like a lot of people, because it's one thing after another. It's not just George Floyd. It was Ahmaud Arbery, it was Breonna Taylor, and that was just in the last few weeks. Then when we're talking about last year and the year before and the year before, there's compounded trauma that I think we all deal with when we see certain images on TV. And so, last week, a few days ago, I was watching TV, and for some reason I just started crying when they were reading out all these names. You just start weeping. And I think that as human beings, we internalize a lot. And especially, I think those of us in the Black community have a different way of dealing with tragedy. We see ourselves in the people that we see these things happen to. It's like I see myself in a way that I think my white brothers and sisters don't understand sometimes until we have those conversations. I think we just, because of our experience in this country is different, we just view things differently. And so I've struggled, but I've also been encouraged. I've had several, like you, I've had several great conversations, been able to tell people to read certain books to get an idea about history. I've educated myself a little bit more. The great thing is I've seen it's like a collective exhale, not just from Black America, but from America in its totality. I heard one of you mention before, there are people of all ethnic groups, socioeconomic groups that are kind of fed up with what they've seen, and they want to get engaged and they want to create some type of change. So my message has simply been what it always has been, but it starts with listening. It starts with everybody letting their guards down and have a substantive conversation. It starts with educating ourselves. A lot of people don't know what they don't know. There's a lot of ignorant people. Like, they're not purposely ignorant, they just don't know. So we need to, if it's something we care about, educate ourselves. That comes a variety of different ways. And then, one thing we always talk about is, being part of the change. How do I do that? What's something small that I can do? Is it using my voice? Is it walking outside and protesting? Is it writing? Is it having a conversation with a family member? Is it stepping across, ethnic lines to speak with somebody who has a different experience? Is it getting involved in policy? Is it, you name it, all those things. So I think that I'm doing better, but I think we've all had a rough, several weeks emotionally, not just personally, but just as a country in general, just kind of figure out where we are.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about the locker room. Could you give guys an idea just of what guys in the locker room learn about each other, and how, in a way, if we could just take the locker room and put it a little bit in society where we get guys of all races, guys come from the South, the North, just from everywhere, and we kind of just take time and get a chance to know each other. Can you just speak about what you kind of learned? You had a very long career. What you learned from the locker room and kind of how you'll miss that going forward?
Yeah, I definitely miss it, man. I miss you guys for sure. So many experiences and different personalities. There's really nothing like it. And I think, I'm not that far removed from it, but you already know that that's going to be what's tough about it, the relationships. And so, the locker room is special, and it's not a perfect place, but it's a place where we are forced to work together for some common good. We're forced to see the good in one another. And I think that we're also able to have conversations that many people don't have in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And so you talk about those things that you're not supposed to talk about, like race, politics, religion. Those are three things that you're guaranteed to have an argument with somebody outside of the locker room. And you may have one in the locker room, but because you have a relationship with that person, you know them, you spent time with them, that although their background and their beliefs may be different, at the end of the day, they have your best interests at heart, most of them. You're able to agree to disagree sometimes. And so I think the lesson there outside of the locker room is intentionally making those relationships where you're comfortable to confront each other without losing a companion or a friend. But I think also the temptation within the locker room is to realize that just because we're in proximity with each other doesn't mean that we really know each other.
True.
So we could be in the same locker room with each other, and unless I intentionally have a conversation with you or seek to learn something about you, or seek to ask you, why did you tweet this? Or why do you think this is important? Or what do you think about this situation going on in America now? I will never know how you feel about it, even though I can literally be 1 foot away from you. So proximity doesn't mean that I know you, but what it does do is gives me a greater opportunity to get to know you. And I think that taking that idea out of the locker room into general society is something that is really important.
Yeah, now forgive us if you've been asked this a million times, but obviously you being a teammate of Drew Brees, what were your thoughts on the comments and on the initial comments and then followed up with the apology? What were your thoughts behind it?
Yeah, that's 1,000,001 times, Jay.
I figured.
My initial thoughts for the comments were, I know Drew, and we've had this conversation before. And even though I wasn't on the team with him in 2016, I remember this happening. And I remember him saying the exact same thing. So I wasn't surprised. Now, that being said, even though he hasn't changed his view, and although he's been friends with me and a bunch of other people ever since 2016 who still love him and care about him, many people were taken aback by what he said. And I totally understand that because of the atmosphere that we're in right now. So I spoke to him. We had a long conversation. He was really beat up about it. He was very, very remorseful, not necessarily for his stance about the flag, but for being tone deaf when he said it, and for not being able to bring the conversation in the interview back to where he could show the empathy that I know that he has. And so my initial reaction to answer your question was not shock, because I know that that's what he thinks. It was more the time where he said it, and also the time when it was asked by a reporter as well. But now since then, he's apologized. I've forgive him for whatever needs to be forgiven. But I think that the larger conversation is, okay, what does he learn from here? Or how can he be more empathetic from here? Or not necessarily, he doesn't have to prove that he loves Black people to anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I don't want him to feel like he has to do. I all of a sudden got to prove that, even though I cared before and I was doing things in the community before, now all of a sudden I have to go overboard. I don't think you should do that. But there has to be the conversation with many of those people who were legitimately, genuinely, and rightfully hurt by what he said because of who he is and the way that people, especially in New Orleans, love him and look up to him.
Definitely. Now, before we let you get out of here, I know you always got a ton of stuff going on outside of football. I know you have something coming up June 14th called Boston Pray. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so last week, as we're all dealing with everything going on and not being able to fellowship, corporately at church the last several weeks, I just had a overbearing kind of feeling that those who are believers and those who aren't need to get together and pray. We need to seek God's face in this. Jeremiah chapter 9 talks about, let not the wise man boast of his wisdom, or the rich man boast of his riches, or the strong man boast of his strength, but let him who boast in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercises loving kindness, justice, and righteousness on the earth, for I delight in these things. That's always, not always, but recently, I say over the last several years, has been one of my favorite verses, because it talks about the heart of God, that he is a God of kindness, of justice, and righteousness. He delights in those things. But also in that verse, it talks about the fact that we are to be humble, have humility, not in our own power, but in his power, to deal with the issues that we go through. And so I was kicking this idea, like, how do I was like, I'm just going to go to Boston Common and start praying. If anybody wants to come, they can come. I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people. It don't matter to me. I just felt like this is what God laid on my heart. So over the last people, we've organized something called Boston Pray. I called it that because I was driving into 93 and there was a billboard that said, pray for Boston, pray for America. I said, that's great. We'll hashtag it Boston Pray. And we're getting together on Boston Common at the Parkman Bandstand on the 14th, which will be next Sunday from 2:30 to 3:30. We're going to have some speakers. We're going to have some corporate prayer. We're going to have some music. And really, it is a time for people in the Boston area to come out and say, you know what, as we fight for justice, as we fight for systemic change in our communities, let's get together and encourage each other and seek God's wisdom and his hand of favor on all that we are doing, and acknowledge that he's sovereign and he's in control. So, you know, the Bible talks a lot about believers coming together. So this is going to be an opportunity for anybody in the Boston area. It's public space. Anybody can come. 2:30 to 3:30 next Sunday, June 14th, on Boston Common, just to come together and encourage each other in the Lord.
That's awesome, man. I plan on being there. Got to make sure everything right with the wife and the kids. I plan on being there. That's awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
Last thing, Richard from Hackensack, New Jersey said, are you going to run for some type of office in politics now that you have retired? Do we see Ben in politics in the future?
Man, tell Richard, man, if I can have your vote, man. I can count on your vote, Richard. You know what I mean? No, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, this is honestly, and you know, I'll tell y'all this. You know, this is like, I tried to retire last year, and I was like, I can still play, and I came back. I don't think it's gonna work anymore. And so this is a new space for me, and it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time. And I don't really know exactly what it's going to be. I'm not ruling out anything. We're just going to see, you know, what doors open, what doors close. So if that's the door I'm supposed to go through, I believe that God will supply and a Richard will vote for me. So we'll see.
Hey, we appreciate you, man.
Always, man. Thank
Hey,
you.
man, appreciate the invite, man. Good to be with y'all. I told my son I was going on with y'all. He just went to bed. He's like, really? You're going to talk to McCourty? I said, yeah, I'm going to talk to McCourty.
He can catch it on YouTube tomorrow.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Have a good night, man. Appreciate you.
All right, bro.
Man, I'm just so happy because people, if you haven't gotten a chance to be around Ben or see him speak, like that is exactly what you get from him. Like you saw right in the back in his house, be the light. That's what he's about. Like he is just a light. I was actually just reading today, you know, be a house on top of a hill, because then everybody can see your light. And that's exactly how Ben is. So I'm just so happy we were able to get him on, man.
Yeah, definitely. You guys got to see a glimpse of why he's such a special individual to have within the locker room. Just his conviction and everything he's about as a football player and a man as well. But we won't even get on to the fan line because without further ado, we got one of my old teammates, Jurrell Casey, coming in next on the fan line, coming from the West Coast now, coming from Denver. So my man Case. Oh, yeah, it's tough to breathe out there, man.
What up? How y'all
What's up, man? My fellow ball.
what got going on? I love those shiny balls, boy. I still ain't got mine as smooth as y'all, but
How you doing, man? How's quarantine life been for you down in Denver, right?
yeah, we got down here April 15th. We tried to get down here as fast as we could. Once the trade went down, you know how Ryan is, bro. The wife, she gets right on it. She's the A-type personality. She jumped on the call, got people's movers, and got everything squared away. So we got down here April 15th. We'll be down here for the last 3 months. I heard Devin was talking about it's hard to breathe down here. The first week of training, it was crazy. It was. But now it's, you know, being down here is getting used to it. But I'm loving it. The great outdoor scenery, the hills, the mountains, all that they got out here, the trails, bike riding. We've been trying to get it all. Normally in Nashville, we'd be indoors. We'd go outside to the mall, go see a movie or something. Out here in Denver, you got to be outdoors, bro.
You're a new man. You're a new man out there.
New man, baby.
Speaking of the trade, how was like your initial reaction? And I'm a guy that's played with you, so like you were a guy that we all came in the locker room. I used to tell you before every game, man, dominate, and we're all gonna follow. How was your initial reaction, and then from there to how you feel now moving forward?
Yeah, you know I'm an emotional guy, so like I tried to play it cool. I ain't gonna lie. When I got the news, I was literally at training, and Drew gave me a call. And when he gave me the call, I didn't answer the phone. I just felt I knew something was wrong. I kind of sat on it the whole workout. I didn't know if I wanted to call him right back or if I should just wait a little bit and let him call me again. But, you know, I just hopped on the phone with him real quick, and he gave me the news that, you know, they was going to be shopping me around. That was the first thing I got. They was going to be shopping me around. And when I got that news, it was a blow to the heart because I would have thought that one of them would hit me up, be like, hey, this is the move we're gonna have. This was gonna go down. Case, everything was great. I would have been fine with that. I think the part that hurt me the most was that I didn't get a call until about 30 seconds before the trade went down, and that's the part that kind of hurt the most, bro. It was just, I'd probably say 3 or 4 days. I probably had some moments where I probably had to tell the wife, give me a minute, and I let a lot of tears come on out of there. But hey, God make things happen for a reason, man, and put me in a great position to go do great things. And Denver, they've been welcoming me with open arms, so that's all I can ask for.
And I think that's what's awesome. We had your former teammate on here, Logan Ryan, a few weeks ago, and really giving that backstory. Because I think a lot of times fans hear, guy wants more money, guy gets traded, and they're just like, oh, it's a part of the business. And I don't think people understand, like, guys give their heart and soul to teammates, to a city, to an organization. And a lot of times, like you just said, that ends with a call 30 seconds before you get traded, and it's probably a 10-second call like, we appreciate what you did, but we're trading you. Like that.
Right. And the part that's so crazy is, like you say, man, you give so much to them, especially when you come up on free agency. You do extensions, like you have opportunities to go and do things somewhere else, especially the way we wasn't going. J-Mac, you know how it was when we was there. 2-14, 3-13.
Yeah.
That's some rough times, and you have opportunities to get out of it. But when you're a loyal guy and you feel like things going in that right direction, and you that centerpiece, you got no choice but to fight it through. And that's what my whole mindset was. Stick it out, ride with it, and at the end of the day, things gonna get better. And that's what started to happen. And for us to get to that point to get better, and to be a main focus of that, and then you just throw me to the trash like I wasn't the main block of that. I think that's the part, especially coming off an injury a year before. Come off an injury, play the whole season for y'all, no complaints, did everything you want me to do, and you throw me like a piece of trash. That's the piece that hurts the most. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, none of these businesses is loyal. It's all about you got to take care of your company, take care of your business, and do what's best for you and your family. So at the end of the day, you harp on it for a little bit, but you got to get over it.
No doubt. And like Dev said, you give so much to the community. And I got a chance to be down there, and how much you and your wife, Ryan, did in the city of Nashville. Now you're in Denver. I already saw you were out marching and protesting with everybody. How was that experience being out there? And I know you had your family, the younger generation, your kids are still little, but being able to see that you cared about things outside of just your job and outside of football.
It was special, man. To be able to get here in Denver and be on the calls with those guys, having talks before this protest happened, to really, let guys let their emotions out and express their feelings. It was deep because you hear different stories, you hear different sides of why people feel certain ways, and the reason why some people protest, some people riot, some people loot. You hear those different stories from these guys that didn't deal with it. And when that pain come out and you get out there and you get in front of those thousands of people sitting out there in the middle of the Capitol State building, just waiting for that speech, and those guys delivered, man. It was a powerful moment. Me, I like to get out there and to be able to sit there and hear what those guys' backstory is and know that, everybody's going through the same things that I've been going through, dealing with. You know what happened, but as broad as it starts to happen and be more focal is the part where we got to start getting our message out, and to be able to go out there with the protest and, be out there with my young mans. That's the biggest thing, is letting them know that we got history to build and we got a future to make sure we get right for our generations to come. And me and my wife have been just trying to make sure we do that indoors, outdoors, whatever we can get our hands on community-wise, building ourselves, teaching our kids just different things and just teaching ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing that we're starting to learn from this, is teaching ourselves from the Lord, religious standpoint, from political standpoint, from economic standpoint. Until we understand that as a culture, man, we ain't gonna get nowhere. And I think that's the biggest message that I got from being out there this past weekend, was understanding and learning about what's going on in our communities.
Yeah. How was it at the march? I don't know if you went to this one or not, but seeing like guys like Justin Simmons and seeing guys like Von Miller, who are now your teammates, and just seeing them be vocal in the community. How was that, when you're in a new locker room now, just getting to see, what those guys are about from the outside looking in?
It was huge, man, because at the end of the day, you get to a team and you talk about these type of issues, you don't expect a lot of guys to speak out, And I say when we had those calls, man, just to hear so many people talk out, and I was one of the guys, J Mac, when I get emotional on those calls, I can't control myself. So I was kind of deep emotional. I kind I'm kind of disappointed myself a little bit that at the protest I did not get up there and speak, but I was allowing other people to get their voice across. I feel like, you know, through the past week I did a whole lot of talking in our meetings, and you know, I just, you know, tried to take it in and see what other people's thought processes on this situation is. And it was great to hear those guys speak because they are leaders. They have been in lead for a while, and the community and the people need to hear us and those type of people deliver their voice. They need the main people in organizations to start speaking out.
Definitely. Last question for us. This is stuff that you've been in this realm, and a while ago, you and your wife started the Casey Fund and doing a lot of work in the community. Lastly, could you just tell us some of the stuff that you guys and what your focus has been with the Casey Fund?
With the Casey Fund, main focus that we do is incarceration. We try to make sure we build the gap between incarceration and society. We try to make sure we get with mentoring groups. We try to work with, you know, different groups that's dealing with educational backgrounding, people that's going to. Recently, we started trying to get involved with people that's going to be changing laws. So the ACLU, we've been trying to get involved with them a little bit. We worked with them in Nashville. We're going to try to work with them down here in Denver. They got a bill about to get ready to pass. So little things like that we've been trying to get on. The Casey Fund, we don't, you know us, we don't do too much fundraising. We don't do too much of that. We try to find groups such as like y'all who doing the great work, and we try to partner and try to see ways we can give y'all resources. That's the best I feel we can do. We don't want to revamp the wheel. We want to make sure we make it better. And you know, the goal is to partner with guys and people and organizations that's doing the great work. And that's what we're trying to make sure we do. So if y'all got great people out there that's doing the work that we're looking for, please send us everybody you have. We want to spend the money. Please send it to us.
No, that's awesome, man. And like you said, I've done a lot of work with the ACLU in Massachusetts, and it is phenomenal. Just their thought process of, you know, legislation, policy. So I think that's huge. People don't understand incarceration, especially around the holidays and different things like that. It's tough because when you do the statistics, it's a lot of households who have, you know, someone that's incarcerated. So that's huge, man.
Definitely,
Man. We appreciate you taking the time, man, coming to holler at us, man. Tell the wife that we said hi and wishing you guys well in Denver, other than when we play against you. But I'm looking forward to you sacking quarterbacks, toe tags, and body bags when you sack them, bro. Good luck out there, man.
Yeah, boys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No doubt, man.
That's awesome, man. I remember doing stuff and talking about just whether it's men or women being incarcerated, and letting people know, like, you're always, you know, either one person or two people away from knowing someone incarcerated. So I think sometimes people have this mentality of like, yeah, the people that go to jail, like they're over there, and like don't always realize like that's not that far away from you. Also getting involved, and recently we've seen a lot of people released from jail and to different facilities, and you know, actually speaking of that, this Tuesday coming up, I'm going to be honored at Boston on Corner's fundraiser, and they work with, you know, former gang members. They work with people who are released from prison. And just a quick fact, national rates recidivism, where you get out of jail and you go back, usually around 50%. This program, 20%. The people that they work, that's awesome. I can't wait for it. He was Andrew Kramer Hall of Famer. So Tuesday, Boston on Corner. Yep. It's something you should check out. It'll be a great time. Check out my social media. McCourty Twins got all the information there, the links you can go to. So it'll be a fun night. Yeah, definitely. We got Matthew coming up next on the fan line. That was a special interview. Bill Watson, a guy that's older than us that I've always looked up to. Jurrell Casey, a guy that came in younger than me with the Titans, and by far the best defensive player I played with while I was on the Titans. Just two awesome individuals, man. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? How's it going, man?
Good, man.
Good. Man, you know, I had questions about this, but y'all have talked about this the whole show so far, like different perspectives, different people came on and, you know, talked about everything. So like I'm kind of blown away with my questions now, because like they've already kind of been answered what I had coming on. But I think my whole thought of this is, from where we started like last week with the looting and rioting, it's actually good to see like thousands and thousands of people marching in a peaceful and protective way, you know, with all different kinds of people, you know, not just one one ethnic group, but multiple ethnic groups just getting out there and all kind of ages, and just showing the community how we can make a difference and getting our voice out there.
And that's what it's all about. It's about everyone realizing how special we are as individuals. And I think, like you said, and like kind of Casey said, when he said he was out there and you hear people riding and people looting, and there's been so much great content, whether you're watching the CNN and the news or whether you're just on social media and just hearing different people talk. And when you hear people talk about people looting and people riding, and a lot of it is people out there that are hopeless. They don't see hope and they just don't care. And it's been so many different perspectives. And even for myself, I've learned so much through this entire thing over the last week of just different things, different people talking, different people's perspectives. It's been really special, and hoping from this past week that as a country we can just grow tremendously, and we can change the minds and especially the hearts of a lot of people and move forward.
Yeah. I got a question. How do you think the NFL as a whole, like with the commissioner and everybody, is going to go about this during the season?
Oh man, I wish I had an answer for that, but I'm interested to see. Back in 2016, it was clear as day that they weren't on board with anything that Cat was trying to say, and it was more about, hey, how do we get guys to stand up for the national anthem? How do we get guys to not have fans booing us? How do we get guys to stand up so we don't lose sponsors? It was all from a business standpoint, and I think everything that's gone on since then will push the envelope, and only time will tell what their actionable reaction will be opposed to just words. But I think what's going to be special is I think there's going to be a lot of players that are willing to do things and put action change those words into action. I think for us, I believe that is the truth. We always say it, even and Goodell and everybody says it, the league is as strong as its players. And I think when it comes to issues off the field, it's no different. We're going to be as strong as our players allow us to do, and we'll go as far as we carry.
And I think the key thing the league can do is just listen to the players. Listen to the players and really take heed to what they say, and not just think of us as just athletes. I think that'll be huge.
Right. Yeah. I think it would be good because the NFL is, I think, the biggest sports entertainment nationally. Everybody watches the NFL as much as they do other, but the NFL actually has a strong media. But yeah. And one more question. I heard Stid was out there working with Jules and a couple other receivers. Have y'all been able to get with other defensive players and kind of do a little workout?
Not yet. I've been in New Jersey, so I haven't been able to.
Yeah, we've been limited to just the rehab guys that have been in the building. So those guys, whatever they're doing it outside the constraints of the facility, and they're kind of doing it all on all. Keep your kids quiet, man.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. want to understand what this is. One at a time. One at a time. One at a time. Good. One at a time. Wait. Very good. Hold on. Like Dad just said, and the substance. So this right here is defined as substance over time, away. If they go to sleep,